morning, and welcome to Veteran Services with Gerry Maguire. I have a special guest here, JT Torres. He's the founder of New England Veterans Liberty House. It's a nonprofit organization that they give their all to veterans, and I'm going to talk to JT a little bit and find out a little bit more about that. And let's find out a little bit more about JT. JT, you were in the Army and the Marine Corps.
I was in the Marine Corps and in the Army.
All right, how'd that happen?
Marine Corps, 1987. It was back in the days when you had a choice to either. I had two choices back then, and I wish it's still. I wish it's still in play today. You know, younger days get a little bit in trouble breaking windows and all that other good stuff, and I was told either you're going to go here or you go with the military, and so it was a no-brainer, and I turned around in the courtroom, looked in the back, and there was four brave young men dressed in beautiful and manly type suits, and I decided to go with the Marine Corps just because the uniform looked better.
Right.
Not to think about it, that it was probably one of the hardest branches to be a part of. Did that, did a couple of humanitarian missions with them in California. I don't remember that large earthquake that really took a lot of lives and bridges collapsed and stuff. One of our units were the one that recovered a lot of the, unfortunately, a lot of the bodies from there. We went off to Desert Shield, Desert Storm. After that, which was a very long deployment on that one, was 18 months actually boots on ground. And back then, you know, nowadays it's 10 months to a year. Left, took a 10-year break in service, and after 9/11, I don't call it a midlife crisis. I just decided wanted to wear the uniform again. I was missing it. And went to the Marine Corps. Marine Corps refused me because of all my tattoos, and so they say. I think they just wanted a younger guy. And I went over to the Army recruiter, and I said, listen, I'm going to, one way or another, I'm going to wear the uniform. Whether it's with you or the Air Force or the Navy, I'm going to be wearing the uniform. And so it was off to the races after that.
Excellent, excellent. And you know, JT is continued with that type of dedication. JT and I work together on a lot of things. And one of the things I'd like to bring up is about a month ago, I had a veteran, and unfortunately I can't use his name, but he was a North Andover veteran. Mm-hmm. He was in a nursing home and he was going home.
Oh, okay.
And some things got dropped through the cracks, and he needed some things at his home. One of them was a bariatric portable commode.
Drop-down arms, specifically drop-down arms.
That's right. And I had called several agencies that had a lot of red tape, and then I called JT at the Liberty House, and there was no red tape. How are you able to do that? I mean, you made the decision on the spot. You cut a purchase order. I think it took 3 days for it to be delivered.
3 days.
You know, how is it that you can not have a boundary like that? I mean, I know you have a board of directors.
We do. I'm governed. I mean, again, I'm the president and founder of the organization, but I am governed by a board of directors. So, yeah, I take care of the day-to-day operations. I'm still a chairman, actually, now. We're looking, and actually, next board meeting, they're going to be selecting a new chairman, and I'm going to become just the president and director for the time being. But it's not hard, Gerry. It's not hard to say yes and help another fellow veteran. As executive directors or directors of a program or program managers, you could, regardless of what comes through your door, as program directors, executive directors, you have that choice to help. You do, right? What a lot of people fall back is, well, if I help this person that doesn't meet that certain criteria or threshold level, I'm not going to get reimbursed back of what I come out of pocket. I don't worry about that. I don't put a number or money value on a veteran. So as an executive director, sometimes I tend to do things and ask for forgiveness later than permission then, but it gets the job done. And what helps out too, you got to think about it, I have some unrestricted funds as well. Again, what does that mean? That if this gentleman maybe didn't qualify because maybe he had a couple $1,000s in his bank and he had a disposable income of $400. He doesn't qualify. Well, the way I look at it, Gerry, is that we shouldn't penalize a veteran for having a couple $1,000s in his bank account and for having $300 or $400 disposable income. So again, it goes back, I think, to every program director or program management director that usually have that authority to say yes or no. Yes, I'll help you and I'm going to get reimbursed back for it. Or no, I'm not going to help you because I'm not going to get reimbursed back for it. See what I'm saying? Yeah. Does that make any sense?
It does. And, you know, as I'm listening to you, I'm thinking back a year, maybe a year and a half ago.
Yep.
I'm going to say it was around 9 o'clock, well, maybe 8 o'clock in the evening.
Roger.
My wife and I were out having a late dinner. My phone went off, and it was Randy McCrillis, the commander of the VFW post in Methuen.
Okay, I think I remember that.
And he said to me, Gerry, a veteran just wheeled himself in here
Yes.
in a wheelchair. He has no place to go.
I remember that.
He's got no roof over his head.
Yeah.
And I called you.
Yeah.
And not only did he have a bed that night, he had a warm, clean bed, but I remember you saying, you know, we've got to stop off and get this guy some clean clothes. And you went into a store about 8 o'clock at night in Lawrence. I was in the truck right behind you.
Yeah.
And you bought this guy T-shirts, underwear, socks, a pair of blue jeans, and that all came out of your pocket. I mean, I watched you pull out your wallet.
Sure.
And there was no going to a board of directors. There was no cutting a check. This came out of your wallet. Yeah. And, you know, I was very moved by that. And I think that's when that was the turning point where I gravitated more towards you than other organizations, mostly because you said yes.
Yeah.
Every time I've called you, you've said yes.
Exactly. And that's the way it should
that
be.
kind of blows me away. Now, I understand that you have an event tonight.
I do. I have a very special event today.
And I'm very excited about this event. So
I am too. You know, it's a privilege and an honor to be nominated for anything. Right? First and foremost, I don't think that we're in the job to. We're not in a position to chase glory or chase medals or, you know, doing it for the accolades or doing it to get awards. We don't do this. I know we don't, you know, do this. We do it because it's the right thing to do. But it's good sometimes to be recognized because all that does, Gerry, is validates all the hard work that the staff and volunteers do in my organization every day. You know, people are like, yeah, JT, but you are in EVLH. Yeah, but I don't do it all by myself. It takes a really big team to do what I do and make it successful. I mean, I have you, I have Jamie, I have Alicia, I have Michael, I have Rick Betancourt.
Just so that the audience knows, he's talking about Jamie Melendez, who's the Veteran Service Officer in Lawrence. Great guy.
Yeah.
He is another one of my yes men. When I find myself between a rock and a hard place and I need an answer immediately, if JT's not available, I go to Jamie Melendez.
Yeah, Jamie's a good guy, my cousin. Love him to death. And I lost train of thought here for a second. We were talking about Alicia.
The people that help the organization.
So help the organization. It's again, it's a group effort, and we're only as strong as our weakest link. You know, and I've always stuck to that. So we were nominated by Enterprise Bank, Jose. I apologize, I can't remember his last name right now, but he nominated us for Nonprofit of the Year in the Merrimack Valley. So, which was a huge, huge shocker to me that at this early stage of the organization we were being recognized so highly. First of all, that gentleman must have thought very highly of us, or you know, we might have left a really good impression of what we did. So for him to put his name out there, he's the vice president, actually, I think, of Enterprise Bank in Methuen. To put his name out there and nominate us is huge. It's a really huge milestone, I think, in our organization. So I'm excited. It's today. There's two parts today. Today is the application process dinner, and then in May, that's where all the finals are going to get together. All the, nonprofit organizations that were nominated will go to the Lowell Auditorium, and they'll have this huge event. It's pretty big.
And congratulations on the nomination.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit more about the Liberty House and what it does. Now, I've been to your office several times. You have a closet where veterans can come if they need a winter coat. They can find one there.
Yes.
What do you charge for those?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
You have a food pantry there.
I do. What I charge for that? Absolutely nothing.
All right. Good man. Good man. And how often is your food pantry open?
Food pantry twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays from 12 to 3 o'clock. We usually get some pretty good produce and vegetables on Mondays, get dropped that off by a special food truck that goes down to nonprofit organizations, and we get a little bit of it. It's not much because they're sharing their wealth, right, amongst other nonprofits. But we have that, so then we'll prep for Tuesday. Tuesdays we usually will give out meats or poultries or eggs and eggs and cheese and all that. So it's a good spread. We're not there to sustain the veteran for the whole week because it's actually just emergency situations only. But in our organization, if you go, the minute you go enter our location for the food pantry, you have one bag that's already prepped, Gerry. So you could take that bag and you could go home and do a meal. So that's the whole premise that's behind that, right? I want somebody to go into our food pantry that would have everything in one bag right now, so at least he could go cook a dinner for that day. All the ingredients, all the elements are all there. But there's another section in the food pantry too. That's just, we lay out all kinds of food and drinks and stuff on a couple other benches or tables, and they'll go through there, they pick their own bags up, and they fill up what they want, and they go out through the other door. So, we're told we're like the only agency out there that our veterans come out with 4 or 5 bags every time they go. We have fresh bread every time they're there. And then again, we'll do it again on Friday. So again, we're not supposed to sustain you for the whole week, but I think we're doing a pretty good job at doing that.
Now, another thing that occurred to me again while I was listening to you, I want to go back about 5, maybe 6 weeks. I stopped over your house and found that you were really pretty ill.
You got to bring this up now? Okay.
Yeah, well, there's a reason for this.
Okay.
JT was
the milkshakes?
very ill.
Yeah.
And I had tried to talk him into going to the hospital, and he said no.
I know.
So I called another friend of ours, RJ, who was on our show last session, and explained your situation to him on the phone.
He was very kind.
Within about 20 minutes, he had a nurse at your home.
That's correct. So I thank him very much for that.
And you ended up going in the hospital that night.
I actually went back to the office, took care of all my affairs.
Wait a minute. You went into the hospital that night. However, as I recall, you got a phone call from a veteran who had just gotten a foreclosure notice.
Yeah.
Now, JT was buckled over, could hardly stand up straight, really should have been in the hospital.
Yeah.
But what did you do instead?
I, got on the phone, got back there, made some contact with the veteran, explained to me why that happened. And we were able to, at least I think if it wasn't the same one I'm talking about, we ended up cutting him a check that day before I went to the hospital. That's what it was. We cut him a check. Pretty large check too. That day and then that night.
And you stopped the foreclosure on this veteran's home.
Pretty much, pretty much. But again, you know what? In his credit, he came to us on time, because I think any later than that, I don't think we would be able to help him. But I think we were able to cut him, I think, a $3,000 or $3,500 check, and I think that stopped it there. And then so that night, I was like, all right, it's time for me to go to the hospital, and so I went to the hospital. But but Gerry, it's nothing that you wouldn't do yourself.
But it's something you did.
No, and thank you.
And I wish I had the means to get this word out all over, not just the state but the country. The work that you're doing, you have no boundaries. Now I work with JT pretty closely, so
we do.
I invited him here today,
and thank you,
because he's my friend, he's my brother. But the work he does is just phenomenal. Now, there's a wheelchair program that I sponsor.
Great program, pal.
Power Wheelchairs.
Great program.
And what I do is I get a wheelchair, a power wheelchair.
A few.
And I get somebody to sponsor it. Well, JT's already put dibs on the next one he wants to sponsor. and we deliver these to our veterans. Within the last week and a half or so, 2 weeks maybe, I've delivered 2 of these power chairs to North Andover residents, veterans.
That's huge.
And you've got one that you've picked out from my little inventory that
For
you
one of our
want to,
clients as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're going to get that on the truck probably.
And this is the stuff that I talk about, Gerry, right? The stuff that you deal with is stuff that a veteran needs now.
Right.
Not a year from now.
Right.
Not 6 months. Needs now.
The paperwork involved.
Essential
with the
daily
VA.
needs. There you go.
Both of these veterans probably could have gotten a power wheelchair brand spanking new
I'm sure.
through the VA. However, there's that paperwork.
Yeah.
And when I get a phone call that a veteran needs a wheelchair, usually he has it in 7 to 10 days or less.
Or less. Yeah, because it only took you about, well, you got that wheelchair, then obviously somebody else had to repair some of the cushions and stuff. So the situation dictates, yeah. 7 days, but 7 days is better than 6 months in a year, and that's why you do what you do. And you see, that's why I like surrounding myself with people like you, right? Because we're doers, we're doers. When you need something done, let's just get it done and worry about in my case, worry about the consequences later, right? And I know it's harsh to say, but sometimes it's, I don't need, again, to put a number or a price or a date on a veteran. If you're coming to me, it's because you need some type of help, right? And you know that veterans on their own, they have the egos are the size of King Kong anyway.
Right.
And they're not going to come up to you. But when they do, then you know they need help. So why should I just go ahead and make it or put more obstacles in their way? As when I came back again, I hated going to, okay, come here for your evaluation. Okay, go down here. They're going to give you something for your meds. Okay, then go down to.
Right.
So it was like I was constantly either on the road or in VA hospitals. And I was like, there's got to be an easier way. There's got to be an easier way where you could go in one-stop shop all. Especially a veteran that has PTSD, anxiety, hypervigilance, right? You're going to go and our intake forms, and I keep getting flack over that because, you need your intake forms to be larger or bigger or more questions. I'm like, we have 4 sheets that we use for our intake. And that covers your name, serial number, rank, and all that other good stuff, right? I don't need more than that. When you give a veteran that has PTSD or anxiety or, has that hypervigilance level, and you give him a 40-page intake form,
Right.
what do you think he's going to do with that?
He's going to become angry and frustrated.
Yeah, so we're trying to do all that in the one.
Vent that at you.
Exactly.
Now, there's something else I want to ask you about. That's housing in general. Now, I know you do a lot of work with Habitat for Humanity. Where's that going?
Actually, I don't do a lot of work with Habitat for Humanity. Excuse me on that, Gerry. They just reached out to us last year. I do buy a lot of stuff from Habitat Humanity. They have like a thrift shop up in Andover Street in Lawrence,
Right.
where the old Wonder Bread used to be at.
Right.
So I go there and I buy some of the products there or building materials there that I don't have to go help another veteran. So this is the first time that Habitat for Humanity of Merrimack Valley area approached us and the veteran service officer. So they're building 2 homes this year on Phillip Street, Lawrence, which is going to be turned over to 2 lucky veterans. Well, not 2 lucky veterans, 2 veterans that deserve it. They're going to be turned over on Veterans Day. Charlie Baker is supposed to be there. Excuse me, Governor Charlie Baker is supposed to be there. If not, somebody in his cabinet. But it's supposed to be done. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to put the word, and hopefully you can help me with that, is we need hands. We need hands. This build needs to get done before November. And when you're working with an operation of this sort where you're just dealing with volunteers, sometimes it can get really difficult to be able to accomplish any one task. So that'll go in with the coordinator. But yeah, we're doing that. We're doing it this year. We're hoping we could do more with them in a form of either apartments or studios here in the future. But if any of your viewers or anyone that you know that are willing to
I can absolutely get the word
pound
out.
a few nails.
The past couple weekends, you've been grabbing hammers yourself, and
I have. I've done. I've helped them out last time with the irrigation ditch or the weeping system. We took care of that, and I didn't do it myself. I had 4 guys there too, so I just barked orders. That's all I did. you know, I have a bad back, bad knee, so I did construction for 20 plus years, and it's finally caught up. And then banging our bodies in the military, finally just said, okay, enough is enough. You need to just slow down. So I do that. I do a couple of apartments that I have as well. That I do
Tell me
for
about
transition.
the apartments that you have. What do you mean?
The apartments that I have is transitional emergency housing only. So again, perfect example. Remember that gentleman that you met at VFW? We were able to get there, put him in a room right there and then. That's why we have the apartment. It's for situations like that. I don't believe that the minute you call me being homeless, you're not going to be homeless after you call me. Plain and simple. Either we're going to put you in a room or a hotel.
Now, that veteran that we talked about who wheeled himself into the VFW in Methuen, he had no income at all.
None at all.
And
none at all.
You were able to house him until you could get him into a program. Correct. And you never charged him a dime.
You know why, Gerry, is because I was almost in that situation myself. You know what I mean? And, as I'm sure you have as well. And it kind of, you know, it was kind of lonely, man, not having someone there to open a door for you or just, you know, just take you in and not expect anything in return. So, no, when I have a veteran that comes in through my door, we don't know the situation or the state he's in. The last thing I want to do is start talking about money. You know what I mean? Let's get you right first. And, you know, plus there's other options out there, you know, again, that SSVF money. You could always place a call for them and say, hey, I have a gentleman here and we need this. So I did that most of the time, but I'd bring the guy off the street, put him in there. First of all, get him assessed, get him into emergency hospital if I have to, and then we'll talk about money.
You know, you cover such an array of services for veterans.
Yeah.
I could sit here for a couple more hours.
Easy.
You know, I know that you have a crew that will drive around during a blizzard or...
It's called a QRF.
Quick Reaction
Force NEVLH.
All right. Tell me about it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a quick reaction force. Same thing we did in the military, right? So I have 4 guys on standby during the winter. And once we know that it's going to be maybe, you know, 3 or 4 inches, maybe 4 inches and over, we deploy them. We deploy them to Lawrence area, and they take care of our elder veterans that obviously can't get out there themselves. So we'll target those house first. And we already have a list of our elder veterans in our office, and so that's why I'd call. And so every time it snows, perfect example last night, we had the QRF out there last night. And so we have about 6 veterans in our list. But any veteran could give us a call. If you can't get out there and you're having a hard time, back problems or knee problems, and you can't get out there and shovel your way out, all they have to do is give us a call and we'll go out there. So, but we still use that QRF as well for the summer, for fall cleanup and stuff like that.
You know, as I listen to you, so many different stories jump into my head that you know, I got to be there with you. I think it was this past January when the temperatures were below 10 degrees, 15 degrees.
Yes. Yes.
There was a Gold Star widow in Everett. Now,
yeah, I won't
today,
mention
by
her
the
name,
way, is April 5th, Gold Star Wives Day. So we
salute all of you.
You know, honor the Gold Star.
Absolutely.
There's not enough we can do for a Gold Star family. Yeah. But this particular Gold Star wife had her pipes freeze. Now,
bad timing.
You had offered to pick up a third of the cost. Rick Bentoncourt offered to pick up a third of the cost, and my wife and I were going to pick up the other third. So we made some phone calls to our friends, and somehow a plumber got down there, and you and I drove down there to Everett to pick up this bill and take care of it. Make sure that everything else was dress, and that you know, the Gold Star family.
Because of, you know, when there's a water burst, you know, so it's just not the bursting of the pipe, but then what other damages because of the water and all that.
Well,
I think that's one of the things we wanted to go.
The story was the plumber who showed up was a veteran who had earned a Purple Heart, and when he found out he was dealing with a Gold Star family, didn't leave a bill to begin with. So we ended up going down there and meeting her dad, who was a Marine.
Was a former Marine. That's it.
Crusty old Marine.
Yeah.
Set us straight right away.
Yeah, he did. He did.
And then we went out for a coffee and a donut.
Oh, you went out for a coffee.
Everything was dress when when
Well, actually, someone bought you a coffee.
that's right. It was the Gold Star
Exactly.
widow who bought me a coffee and a donut.
And a donut.
You know, it's really great that there are people, you know, like Rick Betancourt.
And like you.
Well, Rick never had the opportunity to serve, you know.
Yeah.
He comes from a long family of military history, and his dad was chief of police in I think Peabody or Danvers. But Rick spends a lot of his time giving back to the veterans.
Sure.
In fact, was it last week? He, and I, and Bob Dufresne's were in a meeting discussing fundraising and an event coming up in May. That event, by the way, over the Memorial Day weekend for North Andover Boxford residents, anybody is welcome. I am the Veteran Service Officer for Boxford and North Andover, so I want to make sure that all the veterans in both towns get this word that Gerry Izzo, who is a Black Hawk pilot, lives in Kentucky, is going to come up here as our guest over the Memorial Day weekend, and we're going to have a lunch for him on May 29th at the Reliefs Inn. Now, Gerry Izzo was a Black Hawk pilot who flew during the Battle of Mogadishu. If you're not familiar with the Battle of Mogadishu, they made a movie about it I'm sure you heard of, Black Hawk Down. And in that movie, there were 2 Black Hawks that were shot down, Super 6-1, which was the call sign, and Super 6-4, which was that call sign. Gerry Izzo was the pilot of Super 6-5, and he flew in and out of the battle, retrieving wounded and dropping off fresh troops, you know, when they were available. So again, that's May 29th. It'll be at the Reliefs Inn from 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock. There'll be a luncheon.
I think everybody should come. It's going to be a very good event.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. And again, today is April 5th, Gold Star Wives Day. So say a prayer for a Gold Star family, whether you know them or not. The sacrifices that they've made, carrying on, and
Huge.
Words escape me on how deep this is.
Yeah.
So, JT, unless you have any questions, we're going to wrap this up.
No, but I was hoping you get into one of the reasons why we deployed so fast to that ladies' home with the pipes, because it's all started in a Facebook where everybody was going up there. Hey, this is the problem. This is the problem, right? And then I got in there a little bit later. By then, you were on there for a couple hours already with Rick, and you know it was this forum of just people that really wanted to make a difference, and I think that it was one of the reasons why I like that day so much is because it was like a symphony of great execution where no one, you know, where they had low ego admissions. No one was looking for medals. No one was, and within from the minute you got the call, the minute the call was put out that she burst her pipe to the actual end of it, I think it took 24 hours to get everything wrapped up. Electrician,
right? An electrician
plumber,
came out. Some of the wires were damaged by water,
and it was awesome. And that's why I think one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is because that's why we do this, right? That's why we should be doing this, right? When you have a community of men and women that love working together for the same cause,
right,
and execute
the
it
same
flawlessly.
common goal.
So no, but thank you very much for allowing me to be at your show here. It was definitely privilege.
Well,
thank you for having me, sir. Greatly appreciate it. Really.
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Veteran Services with Gerry Maguire.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We're done.